ourselves as Nigeria against God. And for 50 years, we're going to have the consequence. 50 years from 77 is 2027. We are not there yet. But I pray sincerely that God will deliver us from that we did that is plaguing us as a nation.
Thank you very much, sir. Questions?
Thank you very much, sir, for bringing that angle. Mine is both comment and question. But let me start the comment from First Act 77. I didn't plan that. I just want to say, and like it's been corroborated recently, between 1999 and 2007, the economy of Nigeria witnessed a transformation. You have councillors building houses. You have professors earning more. The same economy, which is not the impact of First Act 77, impact of the policies and the way we were ruled at that time. And things were going better. In those days when we traveled out, people outside used to envy us. Our dollar was 150 to the naira. And when you are buying things in UK, US, people in UK, they can't spend like we spend. When they give 20 pounds, they say, oh, they have given so much money. They say, how much is 20 pounds? And then we give them 100 pounds because our economy was doing well, which we can get back to. Let me start on that note. And then to now move to the main topic of the day. So who are the powerful men we are really talking about? Who are because the way you are saying it as if they are powerful men are somewhere, someplace. But I want to say the powerful men we are talking about are the people who are seated here. The Bible says, as many as received him, he has given them the power to become sons of God. We are powerful people. That's what God has made us. Potentials are there, but are they manifesting? And that it doesn't matter, just like somebody has said, Isaac was in a dry land, but that potential still manifested and he began to prosper until he became very prosperous. So I'll leave it at that. Key thing I'll take from the family angle, which has been said, which I always hammer on, which because we are believers, I want to re-emphasize. Now, one of the major problems of this country that is hindering us is the moral decadence and the corruption of the nation. Every institution you talk about, the people in government have their own problems, but they are few. The majority are us. And I want to challenge us today, men of power that God has made to be powerful men. He wants us to be pure people. He wants us to be men of integrity. In our own little corner, let's even shine that our light. Because you discover that this problem starts with the family, like we said. Many people, values have changed. I digress a bit. There was a day I was giving somebody, a mechanic, somebody introduced me to him some 2 years or 3 years ago. And I said, thank you. I hope you do a good job on this vehicle of mine that they will bring to you. And that it is your job that will make me to know you. And he said, stop it there. I thought I said something sacrilegious. A mechanic said, don't tell me that. And he was furious. How can you say people will know me by my work? I don't want anybody to know me by work. They should know me by money. He said, you are riding a jeep. And you are now saying by my work, you know, like you say, nothing more. I was taken aback. What did I do? But that is the mentality of the average Nigerian. Like people who are seated here, if someone of us gets the connection and you move to clone somebody in government and money start flowing, when we call for this MP3, you won't come. Because you are already part of them. And that's why the key text we used in MME at the time said in Proverbs 26 is that every man will proclaim his innocence, but a faithful man who can find. He said a man of a just man walk in his integrity and his children are blessed after him. So I want to challenge us. We have a role to play. That brings me to the role of the church, which our Reverend have talked about, but something he didn't mention, which I want us to look at. Very serious, because it pains me in my heart that as a church, we need to pray for the people in leadership. I know we are tired of doing that. Yes, he mentioned about praying sincerely, because I know if we look in our heart, some people will wish that Tinubu and Shetima have said, let them just die. That's what is some people's hearts. Truly, they don't want them to come. That maybe when they die, our problem will go. The problem will not go because, like they said, it started from the past. But for me, now talking to the man in government, our institution, because I know he's very connected to the government. And I want to thank our keynote speaker too. I've taken him up on one of the things he said, which is my question. What is the impact of dollarization of our economy? Which is also helping to compound the problem. I know he tells us, which is true. Anybody who has money, save it in dollar. But people are saving money in dollar. That means the more dollar that comes in, when government brings the money, people will mop it up. And then the exchange rate goes up. I told him I was involved in export at a time. We buy cashew 350,000, which was about that time was $1,000. Okay? But by the time the exchange rate moved to 1,000, people moved the cashew to 1 million. They have not gained anything. It is as the dollar is going, the people in the bush, they know about the dollar and they change the rate. Okay? So I believe one of the key things government can do for us, which you can tell to our people, is can they fix this dollar? If dollar becomes 1,000 naira tomorrow, which is still very high, many people will be moved from multidimensional poverty because you say $2 per day. And 60,000 that pay, or 70,000 is $70, becomes $70 in a month. It means people are living above poverty line, which will help. So I believe so, but the impact of dollarization, please help us talk about it more. And that even though you have advised us to save in dollar, are we helping the economy? Are we being more patriotic? Or is there something we can? Somebody has said, go and bring the Europeans. If you bring Europeans and bring them to Nigeria, to live in Nigeria, this country will be the greatest country on earth. And I believe it to some extent. And if you take us in Nigeria, carry on Nigerians, you take them to Europe, the place will be spoiled. So we as believers must say, this must stop with us. We can decide. We are few. But just like Elijah thought he was the only one, there are still other people. And once we start doing like that, our salt will begin to soften the heart. Lastly, the leadership of the diaconate. Pastor said something very germane, which I think we need to take note as something to take away here. Can the church set up an empowerment fund where people can put money into, and the church manages it to empower people? I always tell people, don't depend on asking people for money. Some people are specialists at that, and when people who have genuine needs come, the people who don't have genuine needs, who have troubled you, will have taken the money or collected. And I told people, if you keep calling this one, give me money, give me, and you are not doing anything, you are not helping yourself. He said, you cannot prosper. I said, do you know why? He said, no. I said, look, if somebody goes out to sweat, to labor, to make money, and you just sit down, when you are to labor, you don't labor, you collect the money. Do you think blessing will come upon that money? You just be a taker. And you eat it, and then you look. Some people have a list of how many people they want to talk to. And then you call, and you get, but you will not prosper. But when you labor yourself, if people empower you, this is what I want to do, be empowered. And do it, God blesses that labor. So I believe that empowerment thing will go a long way. And people who have more can actually contribute into that fold. And it can be distributed to empower people to, not in giving as palliative. Palliative, people will spend palliative anyhow. But when they are empowered, they will use it to it. So dollarization of the economy, what do you do?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right. Okay.
Thank you, sir. I think you raised very important points, and I think we discussed it. The part that I want to speak to is the impact of the dollarization of the economy. I'm going to speak about it from two perspectives. The first thing is, as a finance person, there's something we call asset classes, right? That we can trade. You talk about securities, you talk about currencies, commodities, contracts, real estate, right? There are other assets you bring in like infrastructure and the likes. So globally, currency trading is an acceptable asset class to trade all over the world. Now, to address the currency problem, no individual, no household, no corporate organization has responsibility for addressing the currency issue of a country. Thank God that Barrister Obayomi is here. Currency is in the exclusive list of government. In fact, the state government does not even have control over the currency of a country. That's why to fix the currency issue of a country, we talk about monetary policy, which is an exclusive responsibility of the central bank of a country. So to that extent, the citizen that looks at the economy, analyzes it, and thinks that if I move my currency from this particular currency to another currency, the citizen is doing nothing wrong. So let's leave that aside. Now, that is not to invalidate what our deacon said, which is that the more you dollarize the economy, the possibility, the more susceptibility the currency will become weaker, which is the truth. It's a function of demand and supply, right? How many people are demanding for the currency vis-a-vis what is the supply that you have available? But this is the way to also look at it, perceive it in this, from this perspective. I said that when you look at the economy of a country, the guys that are contributing the bigger chunk of economic activities today, they are not the household. And that's the truth. Now, and I was telling Deacon Fakoya that if you don't preserve your own value, the government, that is those who are in government, the governors who get security votes, the ministers, the legislators, both in the Senate and the House of Rep, as they are getting those big check, they are the first to convert those monies to dollars. They are the one making policies on our behalf. Which is why I'm saying, I agree with Barrister Obayomi when he said that we are not all government. You see my point? Now, don't make me sound like I am not a patriotic citizen. I said that to mean that if the government wants to fix the currency problem, it is their responsibility to fix. And they've been doing everything possible to ensure that they fix it. If you buy USD today at 1,650, and 1 month down the line is 1,000 naira. In naira value, you have lost money. If you do it once, you do it twice, you do it the third time, nobody will tell you the fourth time not to do it. That is the way to fix it. So now, let's now go to how can the government fix the problem? To fix the problem is very simple. You need more dollars. How do you now get more dollars? There are different sources. Remittance, how people are leaving the country every day. They are sending money into the country. Before 2020, right? Let me say before 2014, because it was 2014 that the whole currency problem degenerated. No thanks to Godwin Emefiele. It was the one that distorted the normal functioning of the foreign exchange market. When he stopped auctioning and he started creating parallel rates, in the country at a point we have 4 different rates, for the country. He created this problem. Under Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, Governor Soludo, we didn't have this issue. Now, the appetite of Nigerians for foreign products, exotic products as we call them, has always been there. Nothing changed except that the policy of government shifted. And that was the beginning of all of the issues of giving differentiated rates, some to those in government, some to those, that created the issue that we are having right now. Unfortunately, what the current government is trying to do is to bring us back to those days. Maybe what I am not learning is maybe there are some other intricacies or technicalities that they need to address in fixing it. So because before then, we used to have what we call remittances. Those who are living, at a point it was about $18 billion that was coming into the country on an annual basis. The next to it was foreign portfolio investment, like those who come to Nigeria to invest in our equities or buy our bonds or treasury bills. The next was foreign direct, oil. Oil was the next, the third biggest. Before you then have, the likes of foreign direct investment, where people come to Nigeria to invest. All of those are dried up. Nobody is bringing capital to invest in our economy. In every economy, there are two sectors primarily: the real sector and the money sector. The money sector is just there to intermediate and make activities of the economy to go seamlessly. But now we now have an economy that is supposed to support now becoming the main economy. That's a problem. Now, because people cannot come now, bring in their inflow, their money, and do real business. Insecurity will chase them out, right? Or government people will tax them more than necessary, or it's just not going to work, because that's why you see a lot of IOCs shut down and leave our country and go everywhere. So the way to start is for government to be sincere, and I don't know who mentioned it among the panelists, that, there was a time when, a government decided that I'm going to solve whatever issues. That those who have fixed some of those countries have not always been that sincere. But there was a time when they decided that no, we have to fix it, and then they start. So the problem of our currency is not going to be fixed by me. It's not going to be fixed by you for as long as you are not in government, because it takes the power of government, the policy of government, the right tools to solve those problems. So to that extent, I am not asking us to be unpatriotic. I'm only saying I'm an investment manager. So when I've advised my clients, these are some of the things I'll say. It is not selfish, and it is not to undermine the economy of Nigeria. It's just saying that since I don't have the responsibility to do it, but I have the right to manage my resources the way I think it is best. That's why we say, the other thing you can do if you don't want to do that is to identify good location for real estate investment. It will always hedge you. If you invest in Falagoro, you will be hedged. If you invest in Ikoyi, you will be hedged if you have the money. If you invest in some strategic location, right, you will be hedged. Not all real estate will also hedge you against currency volatility. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The last question.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so my question is with respect to having multiple streams of income. For me, as an example, I work in an environment where my opening day is 8 o'clock and I close 6, 7. So I don't think it's very easy for me to say I want to venture into something outside my work. But in that organization, you have some people that, based on their job functions, they are able to, how will I say it, to find a means of making income from themselves on that particular seat, which is against the policy of the organization. I'll give you an example. I don't want to, because there are so many ways, but I'll just use 2 units. You are in a procurement unit of an organization. You make a deal with a vendor and you add your own percentage on that transaction. Or you are in treasury, because for those of us that are very familiar with banks, you know that, okay, you and this person, you are in a unit and this person is in treasury. You are earning the same salary. But that person, in terms of what he spends, you are not in the same level. So my question is, as a person, are you short-changing yourself in the quest of you want to have multiple streams of income, or you are just toe that kind of line? That's just my question.
I think Mr. Orolu should answer, since you're on the role of institutions.
Okay. Yeah, maybe also Deacon Ladile Joe is an HR person. Very good question. And thanks for being honest about it. It's a dilemma that a lot of people work in such organizations that they face. Deacon Gokiola Asoko was in procurement for many years, and I'm sure he understands what people do, in that aspect. So there's something called conflict of interest in organizations. And whose interest are we talking about? Your personal interest, the company's interest. So if you are in procurement, your number one job is to protect the interest of the company. The moment you start making personal gains outside of that, it's conflict of interest and it's fraudulent. Okay? It's fraudulent. There are no 2 ways to it. Those people who buy cars, build houses, share testimony, but it is all fraud. It is all fraud. And depending on the kind of structures they have in the organization, it can lead to so many consequences. If they are caught, of course, they can terminate their employment, they can be prosecuted, so many things can happen. So it's not the right channel to go through. Those interest rate, I know in some banks, those interest rate, they give them special bonus depending on their performance. I know Standard Chartered Bank does that very well. If you perform well in a particular period, they can pay them special bonuses. Making money for the bank, pay them. So those are legitimate bonuses. But if you're in treasury and you are pricing yourself, that's what they use in the market. You price yourself. So your company now say 1 billion naira, you want to place in a bank, they give you 15% interest officially, but behind the scene it's 18%. That 3% spread, you and the people involved, you share it. It's also conflict of interest, it's fraudulent. It's not legitimate income. And whatever happens to it, maybe the case of Ananias and Sapphira in the Bible, it can also happen. It can be a consequence for that. So it's not the right way. So for you, you do 8 to 6. What are the opportunities for you to make extra income? You are here on a Saturday. What do you do with your weekends? What are the other skills you have that you can monetize? What do you do in that organization? Are those the things you do there? Are those things you can offer to other people outside? During your leisure time, during your weekends, in other times, there are several online platforms now where you can do consulting, advisory services, and you earn in dollar. So I was even going to speak to Robert's suggestion that you should convert your meager salary. You earn 1 million naira, so you should be converting into dollar. You will die before that dollar becomes materialized. What you should also think of is how can you actually earn dollar or FX? What are those services or jobs that you can do that maybe things you can do for people abroad and tell them, no, don't pay me in naira, pay me in FX. I also have a dollar account. Okay, so as a young person, you don't have that much time during your work hours. Okay, so the skills, what you do in that organization, you can also do it for other people that will not be in conflict with your organization. Because conflict of interest there is a very thin line between that, and you also have to be careful. Okay, so if those, go and check it, those who leave, who do all those things, at the end of the day, they probably don't get to the peak that they should get to. Because they don't want to leave that position. You've seen situations where they promote people, they say they don't want to go. They want to remain on that seat. They say, I know if that place is, I shall let it be here, because they are not interested in career growth. Okay? But you, that money they are making, you can get to a particular role that you get multiples of it. And you're happy, you can declare, you can buy your car and ride it to work. People buy cars at home, they can't bring it to the office. Because they know their income cannot justify it. When you go to the house, you say, wow, you know. But you can build your home, buy your car, and drive it anywhere. Because you have nothing to hide. Okay, so stay on the path you have chosen, the path of integrity, of honesty. Okay, do the right things. And don't worry, in the fullness of time, you will see that you are better off.
Thank you very much, sir. I think Reverend Deji wants to say something.
Yeah, I just want to talk on that because, again, if you're a child of God, you should know that God desires you to be faithful. And being faithful means that you are honest. And again, let's look at Hebrews 13:5,